Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. My name is Emmanuel, and if you struggle with porn or if you know someone who struggles with porn, you are in the right place at the right time because that's what this podcast is all about, is about you finding freedom from porn. So today we're going to go over step number 3, handling the root cause of why you've been going to porn in the first place. But if you haven't already heard our story and gone over the first 2 steps, go back, watch those episodes, and then come back over here. And as always, if you need help throughout this process, we have tons of resources for you at teamvulnerable.com. You can check that out in the description. So let's go ahead, let's dive in. This step is all about handling the root cause. And what I always do when I'm working with people one-on-one is I ask them, what is your goal? What are you trying to do? And sometimes people say, well, I don't want to watch porn anymore, right? That's your big goal. Okay, great. So here's how we're going to do it. Let's just poke out your eyeballs. Let's throw you in a cage and boom, problem solved, right? Well, usually people chuckle when I say that. And the reason why is because you go, well, that's not really what I want. What you want is freedom from porn, where it's no longer hard for you to even stop looking at porn. Because if we did that, let's just say we did that. By the way, we're not going to do that. But let's say somebody did. What would happen after that is you would just become an alcoholic, or you become a druggie, or you start overeating, or you start watching too much Netflix. Well, you're probably not watching Netflix because you don't have eyeballs anymore. But you get the idea. And how do I know this? Well, I personally struggled with smoking too much weed. Any weed is really too much weed, truly. I was an alcoholic. I was overeating. Don't believe me? I'll show you a picture here at some point, right? I lost 40 pounds as I went through this process. But the point is that these are just peripheral problems that are going on that are not being addressed at the root cause, because there's a reason why you've been going to these things. They've been a pain reliever for you. And I know a lot of times people will say, well, what pain are we talking about here? Well, there's 2 types of pain that need to be handled. The first one is this. You need to halt the BS. And that's an acronym, okay? So halt the BS stands for this: hungry, angry, lonely, tired, bored, stressed. These are your day-to-day pains that you're going to feel as you're doing this thing called life. Then you have your things where you have deeper pains and trauma that have been going on, that have been pushing you towards this thing. And if you've ever had that experience where you're like, it just doesn't feel like I'm in control. I know that you've had this experience, that's why you're here. But you're like, I don't feel that I'm in control. I feel like I'm being forced to watch this thing by something inside. Well, what that is in short is you had a pain early on inside. You found porn somewhere along the way and you said, hey, this feels good because it's distracting and it's, giving me all this dopamine and I feel good and I don't have to think about all that pain. And it was a nice temporary pain reliever. But when you were done, you felt worse than you did before. And then you said, you know what will make me feel better? I'll go back to that thing. I'll go back to the thing. I'll go back. And then you just kept going down that cycle. And where you are today is so much further away from where you started. I always say to people, is what you're watching now more extreme or less extreme than what you started with? And the answer to that question is always, it's more extreme, right? It's crazy stuff. And that process happens very, very quickly with all the access of things that you have going on. But in short, what we need to do in this part of the process is you need to go from a boy to a man. And here's what I mean by that. A boy runs away from his problems. He runs to a pain reliever: porn, alcohol, drugs, Netflix, whatever that thing may be. But a man, when he's faced with a hard problem, a hard situation, pain, whatever that thing is, he faces his problems head on and he trusts in the Lord. That's what you're doing right now. You're saying, hey, I have this issue. I've been falling. I've been stumbling, but I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stay down. I'm going to get up. I'm going to trust in the Lord. I'm going to take these steps forward towards freedom and towards trusting in the Lord. And so that's what this process is all about. It's going about being a boy to being a man. Now the question becomes, how do you do that process of overcoming that pain that's going on inside? Because sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll give me it's like the saddest childhood you ever could have imagined. It's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then it's like, okay, what are we going to start working through it? And then they're like, okay, well, I just want to repeat my story and I just want to reinforce that trauma. I just want to stay in this loop. And it's like, no. That's not how God designed you to be. God has known all the situations that you're going to be in this life, and he can use those situations for good. No matter how bad it was, he can use it for good, or you can allow the devil to use it for bad. And that choice is up to you. It's not your fault that you've gotten to where you are right now. I want you to hear that. Hear me. But it is your responsibility to get out of this thing and to allow the Lord to use this pain, these bad situations, all this stuff for good. And I'm telling you that you can have healing from this. I remember as I went through this process and I healed the pain that was going on inside, I remarked to Becca, I remember it was 300 feet over there. Becca and I were taking this walk right around the loop. And I just said, Becca, it's 40 days into the process. I said, I cannot believe how easy it is to not look at porn. I struggled with this thing for 15 years. But the second we started doing this, all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is easy. This is really easy. But you have to be willing to take this step and to handle that root cause of that pain. Because when you do, that is an absolute complete game changer. Now, in this next video, what we're going to go over is healthy communication between yourself and with others. And this is a really, really important part of the process and really helps you handle that root cause of the pain. But before you go, like I said, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, share this episode. Go to teamvulnerable.com if you need more help, if you want hand holding, if you want resources, if you want whatever, go to teamvulnerable.com because that's what we're there to help you do, is to help you gain freedom over this issue. So you know what to do. Go ahead, do all those things, and I will see you in the next episode.